Okay, welcome back to the final segment of the Sports Circus, Friday edition. The Saturday edition can be found in sunny Southern California on 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM, and 1050 AM at 8 a.m. on KCAA, NBC News and Sports, also here in the Las Vegas Valley on 920 The Game, NBC Sports again at 8 a.m. And also, in case you missed the show, you can tune into, you can stream the show live on the podcast, or you can also go to the Phoenix NBC Sports page at 1060 a.m. KDUS. We'll be on at 8 p.m. Tuesday evening. So now that I got all of that over, and I've got him reeling it in. This segment, the final segment, is brought to you by Seattle Dan's Pizza, Pasta, and Grinders, located at 8465 West Sahara. It's in the Smart and Final Complex. It's got great food. Dan's a great guy. I've talked about Dan every week. Dan's a great guy. The picture tube, the old TV Land, black and white TV. Give him a call for your dinner order, 702-946-6262. Great guy. 10% discount if you mention the Sports Circus. Okay, all that's done. Here we go.
Bada bing. Hey, right before the last segment, we were getting into a little bit, Sal, that you brought up as far as about coaching, possibly on the take here.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a second. I want you to finish what you're saying. Okay. Absolutely.
Okay, let's go for this one particular incident. You know, sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, we get into a segment here where it's affectionately known as, just shut up. There's a lot of things that people say in the world of sports that you just hear it and then you say, you know what, just shut up. We don't need to be hearing that. Just yesterday, the father of Alonzo Ball from UCLA comes out quoted stating that his son should have been given the ball more. He could have scored between 30 and 40 points against Kentucky, and he blamed the 3 slow starting white guys on UCLA, that the ball should not have been given to them, that basically his son should have been a ball hog on the court, and they would have been much better for it. In the voice of the people, Lenny Adkins, just shut up. That was just ignorant, should not have been said. I want to go ahead and throw it to our beautiful correspondent, Alicia Thompson, a WNBA champion, one that knows the game in and out. She has a mind for it. She has a feel for it. And Alicia, what about a comment like that? How does that resonate with you when you hear that?
My mom was a basketball fanatic. She was a huge fan. But sometimes you just have to know as a parent there's a place for you, and that sometimes it's just in the stands, cheering for your kid, cheering for your team. Be there and enjoy it just like any other fan. You don't have to make comments about it. Of course, every parent wants their child to succeed and they want them to be good. But let's face it, your child is a part of the team, and it's not just about an individual person. It is about the team doing things to make that team successful. And sometimes parents lose sight of that. And unfortunately, this parent has. He wants his son to be the whole, the all, the everything. But his son cannot win a basketball game by himself. Unfortunately, it takes 4 other people to do that. And it takes more than that. You have the bench players, you have the coach. So we need to get away from the selfishness that they've kind of fallen into and get back to team ball.
Well, this gentleman has been known for this recently. He's been on the radar, making a lot of statements about his son. People comparing Lonzo Ball to the second coming of Magic Johnson at barely 6'6" and never laced up or played on any hardwood in the NBA. But a lot of ignorant statements like that out of the man. Is one of these parents that looks like he just wants to gravy train off of his son's success. That's really, really sad, Mr. Ball. I think that you should just go by the old adage, less is more. Allow your son to experience greatness, to experience leadership, and how about you just encourage and follow, like Alicia said. So in this segment, Mr. Ball, shut up.
Shut up! Right.
There it is.
Don't be a moron. Just shut up. Let your kid play. He's good. Let him grow. You don't have to open your mouth from the seats. You don't have to open your mouth in the studio. Nobody wants to hear you. Shut up!
There it is. Move to second. Moving on.
Right. Okay. So, continuing on with where I left off with the colleges. And this goes back to, guys like Lonzo Ball. He plays in a high-profile school. He's got a a lot of media around him. He's a good player, and that's great. Good for him. I'm not going to give him any more love because the media's already eaten him up. Exactly. Well, guess what? Not this media. We don't do that at NBC Sports, and we don't do that here on the Sports Circus Friday edition either. No, sorry, it's not happening. But one thing I really have a problem with are the public schools spending so much money. Now, think about this. The University of Michigan, it was a fine school. Now it's just a good school because they have sacrificed some of their resources to pay their coaches. Namely, for right now, Jim Harbaugh. He makes $9 million a year to coach the football team. I mean, that is just, it's just stupid. And here's where it affects everybody. So he makes $9 million. Everyone says, oh, yeah, big deal. Well, that doesn't really affect me. Yeah, if your kid goes to school there, or if you have family, sure it does, because your tuition went up 2.7% just to pay that guy. Oh,
so did your parking. So did you.
Everything.
You want to go
whole
play
thing.
basketball at the rec center. You got to pay $15. That's
right.
To play basketball. It's everything.
Well, and listen. Okay, so it gets worse. The University of Kentucky, John Calipari, he makes $7.1 million. Good for him. All right, great for him. But guess what? In-state tuition went up 5% just to pay this guy, and your out-of-state went up 8.5% just so this guy can get paid. Are you kidding me? So who's really winning here? The students aren't winning. A, they're going to the University of Kentucky in the first place. You know, I mean, come on. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is, right? I mean, if you're trying to get out of school and get a career into something that is beyond the base level, an entry level, you know, you probably want to go somewhere that will give you the opportunity from a recruiting standpoint. You know, one gives more opportunity than the other one. But my point is, the people for the state of Kentucky are getting screwed because of John Calipari. In Michigan, again, now we'll go across from over to Lansing, East Lansing, Michigan, from Ann Arbor. Nick Saban makes $6.9 million a year for their football program. $6.9 million, and they had a 3% increase, whereas University of Michigan only had a 2.7%. And believe me, it gets worse. Ohio State, they went up 3.1% for their in-state and 6.5% for their out-of-state, just to pay Urban Meyer. Stupid. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. And schools, there are some schools that academically are really not that good. I mean, come on, folks, let's be honest. They're not that good. They're producing a mediocre product, and they think they're going to supplement their income or their interest from other students because they have a great football or basketball team. Not the case. Most of the money comes from research, development, corporate partnerships. That's where the real money comes in, the real revenues. Take a look at the bottom lines for these universities. You know, people say on the private side, well, what about Duke University and Duke basketball? I love this one because I'm a graduate of Duke, and I'll tell you what. Somebody gave me this example. They said, well, you know, Coach K makes $9 million a year. And, you know, that's driving all the revenue. No. I pulled the annual report. Duke basketball covers 0.05%. Less than 1% of the total revenue for Duke University comes from Duke Medicine. It comes from the engineering. It comes from the legal side, from the business school, all the partnerships with the research triangle, and on and on and on. Duke is a global institution. It's private. It doesn't belong in this conversation, but that's just one example of the use of money and where the revenues actually come from. Now, these state schools that are basically getting screwed, the students are getting screwed, and the residents that are paying taxes in, they're getting screwed. When your son goes to college, hopefully he won't have the same problem. And let's face it, this is an epidemic nationwide. It's not just isolated to the state of Michigan or Kentucky.
And you know what? I'm going to go just a quick step further. I think that somebody like Coach K, who has been, you know, an institution, he is on the Mount Rushmore of coaches and winning. He deserves a little bit of pull. He deserves that gratuity. But you know what? Right now, Alicia, they're going over Indiana. The romancing of the coaches right now. They're trying to bring Alford. They're casting their golden carrot in front of everybody. And what's that going to cost Indiana?
It's going to cost them a lot. And I'll tell you, those students, and I have the stats in here, but the fact is, Indiana, like all the other public schools, I'm a product of the public school system. I went across town over to Purdue in West Lafayette, you know, not too terribly far from IU. The bottom line is every one of these schools suffer, and it's not good. And we'll pick that up tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. on AM 920 The Game for the Sports Circus. Alicia Thompson, you're going to be there with us.
Yes, I will.
You're going to be Elvis maybe tomorrow? I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, tune in tomorrow, 8 a.m., 920 The Game here in Las Vegas. So long, everyone.
Take care.